Hi everyone, welcome back to our second episode of Candid Conversations with Coach K and Kim. We want to say thanks to everyone who viewed the first episode that we did on identity, and this week we're going to speak on another topic that we're excited about called purpose, right? So we're going to address the topic of purpose this week. But before we go into that, we just want to remind you to, bring any young person that you know into the conversation, show this to them, share it with them, and have the conversation with them. All right, so with that said, we're going to get started on our topic for this week, purpose. So, Coach K,
Yep.
what is purpose to you and why do you think it's important?
Well, yeah, purpose is basically the reason for which we get things done, or the reason why things is created or exist. Some would say you can have a divine purpose from God, which gives you the direction and then you follow. So that is purpose.
And do you think that purpose is important? I would assume so, knowing your purpose.
Yes, I believe it's important. It's important to know your purpose, to have a purpose. That means you will have direction. You know where you're going and what you want to do. So it's very important to know it and understand it.
So last week we dealt with identity being who am I,
Yes.
right? And I think of purpose now answers the question, well, why am I here?
Yeah, what you doing?
Right, what am I made for? And a lot of us, I'm sure if we're being honest with ourselves, at one point or another, we would have asked ourselves, why am I here?
What you're here for? What
Exactly.
you doing? So
Whether
yeah.
it's out of frustration or just through your journey, I think everyone would sort of ask themselves that at some point. Purpose is important for three main reasons. One you spoke of in terms of direction, so we can speak a little bit more on that so that people are clear. Purpose gives me a sense of direction,
Yes.
right? Meaning that I don't wake up every morning doing things willy-nilly, right? That I wake up
Knowing what you have to do, where
exactly.
you're supposed to go, where
Yeah.
you're supposed to get at.
Right. So there is, my actions are intentional,
Yes.
right? And the direction that you're going in sets the tone, obviously, for what it is that you're going to do, what it is that you're planning to do, right?
Yep.
So it's important for that reason, I feel. The second reason I feel it's important is because it gives me focus, right?
You can channel your focus on what you have to achieve.
Exactly. So we know that different things can sort of like take your energy, right? People can ask you to do certain things or join certain groups or be a part of certain things. If it's not aligned with my purpose,
right.
then I'm not going to spend my energy there because it doesn't make any sense. Third reason why I think knowing your purpose is important is that it gives me a sense of fulfillment, right? So even if at the end of the day I come home and I'm tired, it's a different type of tired, like how they say it hit differently.
You achieved something.
Yes, and I set something that I set out to achieve, right? So it's not that I'm exhausted from just doing meaningless work, but it's, something that I can be proud of. Yeah.
Something you love doing.
Yeah.
We were created in the likeness of God, so if He designed or set up a purpose for us, we just have to follow and we have to do it, and that will be our fulfillment. So the thing is just getting to know what is your purpose.
It is, yeah.
So
And even in terms of the sense of direction, I just want to mention that even if it gives us a sense of direction, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be like a straight road.
no.
Right?
No.
There are bumps along the way, some detours, we might get knocked off a bit.
Very difficult, because as soon as you find your purpose and you believe you on par, like then all things start happening to detour you from your purpose. Is now keeping focus and keeping at it will be the best thing you can do to maintain yourself.
Do you think that at this point in your journey you have found your purpose? And if you think so, can you share with me and the viewers sort of like your journey to
I believe
discovery?
I believe I have found it because I am quite happy in doing exactly what I'm doing now, something new, brand new to me, doing a podcast. The coaching has been there for a few years now, but the main thing is the baby, which is the foundation, helping the youth, guiding them, mentoring them into becoming more.
Right.
So I believe I have found it. It wasn't easy in finding it, but right now I can say I am happy in knowing that I on that path.
You're fulfilled, you're feeling that part.
Yes, once it comes to the purpose and what I have to do, I can say it might be more. It might be
Yes,
evolving.
certainly it will evolve.
Maybe later on and so on. But for now, I can say like I am happy in trying to achieve that goal in mentoring the youth and guiding them and seeing them being more.
Okay, so how did you tell us a little bit about the journey of
Well, the journey of finding
how you came here?
that purpose, I can say it was a long one because personally I've gone, I don't know if I should be here. Well, I'm here for a reason.
You are?
Most likely, I went through a couple accidents. Recently, I went through a vehicular accident about a year ago, where crossing the road at the back of the gardens, a car picked me up. Amazingly, I flipped in the air and landed on my feet. And that was after doing, a year after doing my Achilles surgery. I tore my Achilles on the basketball court. So if I backtrack to that time, and a year before that is then when it started. I went on a trip to Iceland and we were working with the youth there. And the way I saw the coaches, the people, the culture was dealing with the youth and sports and pushing them and the motivation, and it just
Investing in them.
yes, start changing me and my mindset, giving me more of a growth mindset to want to help and be more and give back. From since my days of playing, I was always basically a coach because I was always giving instructions on the field and still can play, but I never knew I would go into coaching. And I went into coaching, and which helped me even more by understanding the youth and what they're going through and so on. So when I did that tour in Iceland, I came back to Dominica with a renewed spirit, I would say, to help and to give them more. Went to, with the Harlem Academy and trying to do certain things and change up and so on. But you'll always get feedback, negative, sometimes pushback.
Yeah.
So because it's changed, not really basically from the Harlem Academy itself or the coaches, but even with the players, because you're bringing in a new form of coaching, new style, new way, more trying to give positive reinforcement than the negative one. But over the past couple of years, it have been kind of evolving and they kind of accepting it, which I could give them kudos for. So coming to now, the accident, when I had the accident, I was down after the surgery and then the accident. I started doing some reading and want to say thanks to my friend John that was supplying me books and surprisingly
Shout
all the
out
books,
to John.
yeah, all the books were leadership books.
Okay.
And I was just reading on being a leader and reading and reading and reading. And then my colleague coach, Lenny Walsh, told me that there is a course coming up in UE about leadership and so on. And I attended And from now until now, I'm still in UE doing courses. So that changed my mindset totally on how we lead and how we should lead. And it started bringing me towards my purpose.
Did you notice like leadership qualities in yourself? Like looking back now, can you recognize that maybe from your younger days even that you always sort of had those leadership skills or
Yes, I always
qualities?
had that leadership qualities, but maybe not the right way. But I
Yes.
was always a
That's a good
leader.
point.
I was always a leader in my little groups or wherever I am on the field or wherever. But when you go in depth in the reading and the understanding of a true leader, you see that sometimes, yes, you maybe were leading, but you were not leading the right ways. Because
Yeah.
you when you're leading, you need to be that example. But most of the times, the leader is not the face of the thing. You are the back. You give the credits to the people that are doing all the hard work, and you lead by example.
Right.
And when you're leading by example, it's supposed to be the right example, so that whoever you're leading can follow in the right path. And a leader now don't tend to always be saying you should and you should and you should. You know, you always have to assign, you have to guide, you have to mentor, you have to be that person that they can talk to. So it's all that I had to learn. So yes, I was leading, but I wasn't leading the right way.
Right.
Yes, I was coaching, I still wasn't coaching the right way. And I'm still learning. So some people may say, yeah, nah, but I was still learning how to talk to my players, how to separate them from the football as well, from the game, how to separate my emotions from what I need to say and what I need to do. So it's a learning process as well for me,
Definitely for everybody.
but I am understanding more and more every day how to be a leader. So my purpose brought me to that from reading the books, going on ice, going to the tour, the accident, because when I had the accident, I had to just stop and say,
Pause.
well, okay, you know what, Ja, maybe that is my last chance and I need to get this thing done.
Right.
So, okay, I'm going to focus on it now. Because after the surgery, I did all that reading and so on, and I get back on my feet. I start, going a little haywire, doing this and not focusing on the purpose.
Right.
So the accident brought me back. So you can say it's a bad thing, but for me it was good.
Right.
Because on that day, when I had the accident, the guy, I would say, who had the accident with who jammed me, was in total panic. And from the moment I saw I was alive, because when the vehicle hit me, all I could say was, see how I die. That was in my mind. When I say that to people, they wouldn't be there. Like, how is that your thought of? I was checking, like, see how I die, like that.
Just like that.
And when I landed, and I have all my senses, everything is there. I just told him, well, just give me a lift to the hospital. And he's telling me, like, are you? I tell him, yeah, I'm okay. And I was just giving thanks to be alive. Like, I didn't worry about anything, about any insurance, any stuff of claiming, of nothing. Just happy to be alive. And from that day, I just go straight on into that path, that purpose, and that focus was to get this thing done, get this foundation up and running, start mentoring kids, start being there for them. My son, starting to try to understand him more time to the people that surround me,
You.
trying to understand them more, trying to help them, trying to be there more for them, my team, and all those things. But some people might not get all those chances, or because you see some people have accidents and they're gone. So some people don't get a chance to live their purpose or fulfill or whatever. But I got that chance, and right now I trying to make the best out of it.
Wow.
So it's amazing right now to be here, you know, to be alive. And I didn't even go into my playing days because I believe maybe that purpose was haunting me from since I was a teenager, because in inter-school I got a minor heart attack. I collapsed on the court. It's like just, and
Signs.
bringing me to what we are doing today, what we are trying to achieve with the foundation, with the kids, mentoring them, and meeting a lot of great people along the way, coaches and mentors, bringing us to your organization as well, to partner, to other people that are willing to partner with us, and seeing what we want to do and how we want to achieve it. So getting to that purpose might be difficult. For me, it took how many years, how many chances. For some, you might have it right away. But the main thing is to get to it.
Right.
As long as you have life and you have breath, get to it, because then you will finally see that you're really living.
Yes. Yeah. What you said, I, in terms of the leadership piece, I'm kind of going to use this piece to add a different, or not a different, but just to add to the conversation and to make the distinction between our gifts and talents and our purpose. Because I think that a lot of people sort of confuse the two, or think that purpose and that your purpose and your gifting or your talent is one and the same. And whereas they are connected, I see them as being different. So for instance, I always, and you always get clues, right, as to what your gifts and your talents are, right? Like we all know there's something that I'm really good at, just naturally inclined to do, not needing to go to school for it. Sure, it's important to develop it, right? But without having gone to school, it's something that I was naturally good at, or something that you were naturally good at, right? And an example of that, well, for me, for instance, is that I was naturally always very organized. Like, naturally, that came to me. That's how I was. I could walk into a space, I could see things being chaotic, and I could, separate them, pull them apart, and then pull them back together and sort of just fill in the gaps. Like, naturally, that's how my mind worked before I even, went into anything like project management or whatever. I was just naturally always like that. Okay, the other thing is I was naturally always like a teacher. So my friends, I remember even from like high school, college, university, would always ask me to explain certain things to them because they liked the way that I broke it down or could explain, certain concepts or whatever to them. So naturally, I was always inclined that way. Just like how, for you, naturally, there were always maybe some leadership skills or whatever. But just because you are gifted in a particular area, so this is where I'm going to tie it back to what it was that you said. Just because you are gifted in a particular area does not mean that you are using that gift or that talent to fulfill your purpose. Well, because for instance, as you said, right, you always had those leadership skills, but you weren't always using it the right way. So, for instance, somebody who, as they say, has the gift of the gab, right? They can, sell ice to an Eskimo or whatever. They speak really well and they can convince you of anything, right? They have the gift, they have the talent, and God has given all of us that, right? They have the gift and they have the talent for being able to speak and to convince people of something, right? But I'm pretty sure that, for instance, God never purposed anyone to con anyone.
No.
Right? Right. But people can use that gift to con someone. However, they can use that same gift, right, in order to market a service or market a
Yes.
product or to run a business, right? So it's important we distinguish the fact that just because you are naturally talented and gifted in a particular area, that does not mean that you are walking in purpose.
Yeah, because you could be using it in the wrong
Exactly.
way.
So your purpose now is, well, you know, what are you doing with that? So being naturally inclined, being organized and so on, I know that my purpose is to encourage and to uplift. Like I have always, that has always been there for me. Even if I did not necessarily know like what it meant, that has always been a part of me.
That's correct, because as you're saying that once you find the purpose, you find the path, you will do the right thing, you know. So you will see what you were doing all the time wasn't it's a talent, it's a skill, but you were not doing it the right way.
Yes.
So once you find it, then you will start doing things the right way.
Right.
Because it will drive you to do things the right way, because that is what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
It's a direction you follow in. So once you follow in that direction, and your purpose is not given by yourself.
Right.
If it's divine, it's given by God.
Right.
So if you follow in that purpose, you're doing what God intended for you to do. It have to be the right way you have to do it.
Right.
So,
and you generally have that, like, inner knowing, you have that unction, right? And so, like, as I was saying, for instance, whether I look at my business, right? I don't look at it as like a profit and loss. Like, I don't look at it from merely that standpoint where I just have this bottom line, and my bottom line is, well, how much profit am I making every month, right? What I look at is what impact is it having, right? So more than the finance, yes, you need the financials in order for it to survive, right? But what impact is it having? So for instance, like you and I meeting, connecting, right? You having all the ideas and knowing what it was that you wanted to do and not being able to sleep and so on, and then meeting my brother and then him telling you, well, you know, me, because he knows that I'm gifted in that area, right?
So that is the impact you're talking about.
Right. So then me meeting with you, and then now we put in the foundation, putting the structure together, right? That is me walking in purpose and providing you upliftment and encouragement, right, in what it is that you are doing through my skills and using my business as a vehicle to do that. So that's how I see it.
The purpose is a thing you can give up as well. We must mention that, because you will meet stumbling blocks, and if you're not strong enough to fight or to keep at it, keep focus, you will give up, because it's never easy at times, especially in the world we live in now. It's not easy, but the thing is, once you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're supposed to do, you will overcome, you will achieve, you will do what you're supposed to do. It's never meant to be easy. You know, if it was easy, everybody would just get it and have it.
Yeah.
You know, because some people die never knowing
what. Right.
Yeah.
And what you're saying there, in terms of finding your purpose and not giving up, right, is important, right, in terms of keeping the faith and just pushing through. And as I tell people always, if you know, and you know, because I've told you this too before, if you know that God has called you to this, that's all that matters. So like that's that is the key question is this the purpose that God, is this the call that is on your life? And once you can answer yes to that, then you need to just, guard yourself, brace yourself, and withstand everything. Because as you said, many people die, and as you say, the cemetery is the what? The richest place.
Richest place, yeah.
Right? Because many
have
people
all the
die.
purpose and
all the
wisdom
purpose and
and
wisdom
everything
in the
inside there.
cemetery.
So if those of us that are alive and well, we need to find that purpose and find that path and walk in it.
Just before we end, we want to leave you with 5 tips or takeaways that you can speak about and young people can use in order to help them journey to finding or discovering their purpose. All right? So the first thing we want to share with you is to know who and whose you are. So that goes to the identity piece that we did last week. That's why we said that it was important to first have that conversation before we could have another conversation, okay? Because knowing who you are literally either sets the limits on or removes the limits off of what it is you think that you can accomplish. So for me, for instance, last episode, when I said that I identify with being a child of God, that means for me then that there's limitless possibilities, that I can literally achieve anything so long as that is what God has called me to do, right? So that's the first tip, know who and whose you are, okay? The second is to pay attention to your gifts, so to the things that you are naturally good at,
Talent.
your talent, and to work on developing those talents or those skills. So like coach, take those extra courses in order to develop yourself. Look at things that are related to that particular, developing that particular gift, that particular skill, that particular talent.
Surround yourself with those type of people.
Right, yes, and we'll get more into that. And so that's what you want to pay attention to. Well, 2 things to pay attention to. Pay attention to the things that you're naturally inclined to, and also pay attention to the pain. And when I say that, I mean most often your purpose is tends to involve the area in which you experience most pain. That tends to be aligned most times, right? So for instance, like with me, as I said, I am called to encourage and to uplift. I could not do that if I was never at a point in my life where I needed to be encouraged, right? So, and I cannot encourage people on a particular topic, like let's say relationships or in business or whatnot, if I myself had not experienced things in that realm, right? So it's very important to pay attention to those things, and no experience is a wasted experience. So that's why we should never be, hard on ourselves or too down on ourselves in terms of things that we have been through, because God will always use your experiences, for your purpose, to align it with your purpose and to help you in helping or in assisting other people. So that's number 2. The number 3 takeaway that we want to leave you with is to be faithful in the little things. All right? So if God sees that you can manage this, whatever it may be, right?
Give you more.
Right. Because sometimes, we feel, well, small beginnings or whatnot, maybe you work as a dishwasher, or maybe like me, you started off hosting in a restaurant or waitressing or whatnot. But if you are faithful with little, then he will literally increase you, or he will promote you, and you will move from one stage to another, right?
Yeah, as our famous Calypsonian Picky said, half a loaf is plenty bread.
Half a loaf is plenty bread.
So you have to appreciate what you have
Amen,
at
you do.
times.
Yes. All right. And to see the opportunity within the opportunity. So there's always something that can come from wherever it is that you are in life now. The fourth thing is to surround yourself. It's a very, very important one. Surround yourself both professionally and personally with the right people, right? You know, get mentors. So this is why the Be More Mentorship Foundation is so important, right? Because you can literally connect with people who have walked the path before, who have journeyed in different career areas. Okay, so it will allow you to speak to other people who have that experience. So mentorship is extremely important, okay, professionally. Then personally, you want to make sure that you are surrounding yourselves with the right types of friends, the types of relationships that you engage in. If it's intimate relationships, remember these are people that you are spending most of your time with. So you want to make sure that that person is walking in the same direction with you. They're going, you know, towards the same goals that you are going to. Because if you get yourself connected with someone, and I certainly have done this, so again, I'm speaking from experience, which is why I can encourage in this line, is that if you get yourself connected with people who are not like-minded and not going in the same direction that you are, they can literally derail your purpose, or they can definitely slow you down.
Yep.
So you want to make sure that you're hooked up with people who are going to encourage you, they're going to push you in the direction to which you have been called. And the last thing that we have, which we spoke to already, is to, the last point, the last takeaway, is to, you know, be strong and to hold the faith, right? Whatever it is that you're going through, again, if you know that this is the area that God has called you to, then it does not matter what obstacle comes. It does not matter what obstacle goes. You want to anchor yourself, surround yourself with the right people, build up yourself, and achieve your goals. So with that, we thank you for joining us. We want to again encourage you to follow us on social media, check out what's going on with us, all right? And we'll see you for the next episode. Bye.
Be more.